Vanessa Paradis first entered the public spotlight with a quiet grace that was anything but ordinary. She wasn't the typical star, thrust into fame with grand fanfare or dramatic moments. Instead, she emerged like a soft whisper. Her rise was almost accidental, as her song "Jo La Taxi" quickly made her a household name. Despite her success, it was never about her striving for fame. It was more about simply being herself. In an industry built on loud personalities and constant scandals, Vanessa carved out a space for herself through silence. She became a figure who did not rely on the typical glamour of show business, but instead embodied an almost mystical quietude that allowed her to remain enigmatic, yet magnetic. She was often called the Muse of Silence, and it was this unique aura of calm and mystery that made her truly stand apart. The allure of silence. As her career progressed, Vanessa's public persona was defined by an intriguing absence of expression. She didn't need to talk loudly or often to make an impact. Her face, framed by loose hair and a gaze that seemed to look right through people, became her calling card. People were captivated by her quiet confidence, which contrasted with the loudness of the entertainment industry. She didn't fit any conventional mold. Her beauty wasn't the kind that dazzled the masses, and her voice wasn't technically perfect. Yet she captivated people with her raw, authentic presence. Her mystique only grew as she continued to resist the world's demands to conform to its expectations. She was simply herself, and that was more than enough to make her an iconic figure in French pop culture. Loneliness behind the fame. Despite her success and the adoration she received, there was an undercurrent of loneliness in Vanessa's life. This wasn't the kind of loneliness that comes from being physically alone. Rather, it was the result of a conscious choice to keep the world at bay. Vanessa's silence wasn't just an absence of words. It was a shield she built to protect herself from the chaos around her. This loneliness, though subtle, was evident in the way she carried herself. Her photos, always beautiful, often conveyed an underlying sadness, a kind of emptiness that could not be ignored. It was a loneliness born out of years of choosing silence as a defense mechanism, a way of guarding her heart from the demands and distractions of the world. Over time, this quietude became both her refuge and her prison. Johnny Depp. A quiet encounter. When Johnny Depp entered Vanessa's life, it wasn't with the dramatic flair one might expect from two famous figures crossing paths. Their first meeting occurred in a quiet, almost forgettable hallway in a Paris hotel, under the soft yellow glow of dimmed lights. There was no grand romance, no electric chemistry, just a simple exchange of greetings. Yet something in that brief encounter resonated with both of them. Vanessa, ever the observer, noticed a kindred weariness in Johnny's eyes. There was something in his gaze that mirrored her own sense of solitude. It was as if they had both wandered into each other's orbit by chance, two souls silently acknowledging a shared experience of loss and emotional fatigue. They didn't need words to communicate the understanding that had passed between them. In that moment, they both recognized the connection, even if they didn't yet fully understand it. A relationship of quiet. Understanding. In the early days of their relationship, Vanessa and Johnny found solace in each other's presence. They didn't need to fill the silence with words or grand gestures. Instead, their bond was built on an unspoken understanding, a rare and precious calm that neither had experienced before. Johnny, known for his chaotic lifestyle, seemed to find peace in Vanessa's quiet, steady rhythm. She, in turn, found comfort in being around someone who didn't expect her to perform or be anything other than herself. Their connection wasn't based on external displays of affection, but on something deeper, a shared sense of peace and mutual respect. Their life together, away from the glare of the spotlight, was simple, yet profound. Together, they created a space where silence wasn't uncomfortable, It was a form of intimacy. The slow erosion of connection. The relationship continued to erode in small, almost imperceptible ways. Johnny became more absent, not because of anyone else, but because of his own inner turmoil. The late nights, the long shoots, and the increasing isolation wore on him, and he began retreating further into himself. Vanessa, still deeply in love, tried to hold on, but her efforts seemed increasingly futile. She became a silent observer of Johnny's descent, unsure of how to help him or whether it was even possible to reach him anymore. Their conversations became fewer and less meaningful, and what had once been a relationship of quiet connection turned into one of quiet desperation. Vanessa no longer knew if she was loving him or trying to save him, and the confusion of it all began to take its toll on her. The breaking point. A silent goodbye. The end of their relationship came not with a bang, but with a whisper. There was no dramatic confrontation, no angry words, just a growing realization that the love they had shared was no longer enough to keep them together. One night, after Johnny returned home late, Vanessa asked him if he was okay. His response, "I don't know," was a quiet admission of the emotional void that had taken over him. It wasn't harsh or cold, but it was enough to shatter the fragile illusion that they could still make it work. Vanessa, standing there in the quiet of their home, realized that she had nothing left to hold on to. That moment was the final blow, a quiet acknowledgement that their love had slowly faded into nothingness. With a heavy heart, Vanessa decided to leave, not out of anger, but out of the realization that staying would only pull her further into the abyss Johnny had already fallen into. Vanessa's confession, breaking the silence. After 20 years of silence, Vanessa Paradis finally spoke out about the relationship she had kept hidden for so long. In a calm, measured tone, she confessed that she had endured years of loneliness, standing by Johnny's side while he became more and more emotionally distant. It wasn't an accusation or an attempt to blame him for what had happened. It was simply the truth she had kept locked inside for 2 decades. She spoke of the emotional toll it had taken on her, how she had slowly erased herself in the process of trying to hold on to a love that was slipping away. Vanessa's confession wasn't about scandal. It was about shedding light on a truth that had been buried for too long. It was a quiet, powerful statement that resonated deeply with many, especially women who had experienced similar struggles in their own lives. The freedom of silence. Vanessa's words about her past were not about seeking pity or revenge. They were about finding peace after years of silence. She admitted that she didn't need to forgive anyone. What she needed was to be free. After years of holding her emotions in, of choosing silence to protect herself and others, she had finally found her voice again. And with that voice, she found freedom. She no longer had to protect anyone or justify her actions. She could now live her life on her own terms, choosing simplicity, peace, and authenticity over fame or expectation. In this newfound freedom, Vanessa rediscovered the joy of living for herself, not for anyone else. She no longer had to hide behind her silence. She had found the strength to speak her truth, and that was enough.